You're here because you have no idea what to watch tonight. I know it's a stretch for me to tell you that you shouldn't just be binge watching, but hear me out. I'm a mortal as well. I enjoy binge watching just as much as everybody, but don't let binge watching be the only thing that you're doing right now. Pour some of your valuable time and energy into learning new skills or like your side hustles, because I know it's a big cliche and that you should be more productive and all, but you know, if you're able to watch this video, that means you're pretty fortunate to have access to the internet. So like, don't take that for granted, you know what I'm saying? So I thought I'd get that out of the way before I get into the video, just because that's something that I would have suggested if someone were to ask me what shows to binge watch. The first series that I would recommend to you is actually an anime, Attack on Titan. I've watched a lot of Netflix recommendation videos online, on YouTube particularly, and not any of them has like suggested anime, which is why. So I'm gonna suggest you some here. Like, anime is just sick. You start the story off with a little boy called Eren Yeager. At the very first episode, he witnesses a traumatic death, and it's because of this fuels him, and it gives him the motivation to like go ham and to kill all the Titans. Titans are human eating like monsters. Titans are very hard to kill because of their size, their regenerative abilities, and they have no weaknesses apart from the back of their necks. And you'll be asking so many questions, and with each episode those questions will be answered, trust me. What makes this show even better is the soundtrack. Oh my god, the soundtrack is insane. If you can ask anybody, it's just really good. And the action as well is really unique. It's a massive story and there's so much that unfolds. Unfortunately, Netflix only has season 1, and you'll have to go on like Crunchyroll to watch season 2 and season 3. But this year season 4 is gonna come out, but I'm telling you, watch season 1. The next suggestion that I have for you is actually another anime. You know, I love my anime, but anyway, Death Note. This is probably by far one of the best binge-worthy anime series that you can watch of all time. There is so much tension that builds in the anime, especially when you get to, I think, episode 7. The series is about a normal college kid called Light Yagami, and he stumbles across a notebook in his campus called the Death Note. After a short while, he realizes that this book, the Death Note, holds special powers, and there's a load of rules that are in the Death Note, but the one power that it does have, the key one, is if you write anybody's name whilst imagining the person's face and you write it down on the book, they will die. He goes on a killing spree to kill those who he doesn't feel are worthy to live, and these are mainly criminals. However, in the show, the world's best detective called L, that's his nickname, he becomes determined to stop Light because he's just on a killing spree and it's causing a lot of injustice. So it's a really good show. It's like there's a lot of jaw-dropping moments and it'll get you off your seat. And just like Attack on Titan, the soundtrack is perfect. It's eerie yet perfect for the story. Alright, the next anime, okay, as promised, not this whole list isn't just anime, but the third recommendation I have for you is One Punch Man, and this is the last anime. It's basically about a man called Saitama, and imagine this guy is just the most powerful and most overpowered being in the universe, and life gets so boring for him because he's so strong. What makes this anime interesting is that we all know how each fight is gonna end with one punch, but that's what makes it funny, because when Saitama punches them and defeats the enemy, rather than being happy and excited that he's defeated his opponents, like he kind of gets disappointed, which is like, what? Well, why are you disappointed? You killed your opponent effortlessly. I've never seen a show like this ever in my life, and the show doesn't take itself seriously. It's such a different angle to like your typical RPG type characters, so it's just so entertaining to watch. I highly recommend it. The fourth thing I recommend you to watch is Gotham. Alright, I'm actually currently watching this right now, and it's based on the Batman franchise in DC Comics. It starts off where Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered, and it goes over the story and the adventures of Detective James Gordon and Harvey Bullock. And you're also introduced to other characters when they're little, so Selena Kyle and Poison Ivy. You get to see Edward Nygma and Oswald Cobblepot. You get to see all these characters become the villains that they become in the DC Comics. Since Gotham allows you to see how villains started from the bottom and then made their way to the top, you can start to empathize with them because of their experiences and what they were exposed to, the betrayals, and etc. etc. Personally, I've always been a DC fan, so I might be biased, and ever since I was a kid I used to have like Batman and Superman action figures, and I'd play with them. But if you are into DC and crime, and you're into mystery and for problem solving, and you're into great character development, then I highly recommend you watch Gotham. Next on the list is Money Heist. Of course this was going to be on the list. It's a Spanish Netflix series, but make no mistake, it is by far probably one of the most popular Netflix series right now. It starts off with a bunch of criminals who name themselves after cities so that their real identity is hidden from the police or from anybody. Moscow, Denver, Nairobi, Helsinki, Oslo, and Berlin. Those are the criminals that are inside the Royal Mint, and there's another guy behind the scenes called the Professor, and he's the mastermind behind this whole plan. All these guys are against the main detectives, Detective Raquel and Detective Angel, and of course the hostages. At the start, Tokyo is the main narrator, and you can hear her talking throughout the whole heist. She gives us insights, background information, and she helps us understand the relationships between each person. Therefore, you can then understand their decision making and the situation that they're in. The next show that I would suggest you binge is The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This show is so funny. Like when when you're watching when you're binge watching other shows, right? You want a show where you can watch on the side, as like a break between each episode. There's just so much you can learn from Will's carefree attitude, and the theme song as well, iconic. The next Netflix series that I recommend you watch is Friends. This is another funny family sitcom, and I think it's like a go-to comedy show for a lot of people. There are so many inside jokes between the friends and their relationships, and I've made so many pop culture references from this show to my friends. You've probably heard Friends before, so I don't want to go into it much, but it's just about a group of friends. They're just friendship goals. They hang out, they do their jobs, it's just a whole just banter. They all get each other. Especially as you grow older, you want to have friends like that. Alright, if you like sci-fi and you love creative plots, then you've got to watch Doctor Who. And it's basically about a man, he's not, an alien, and he comes from a race called the Time Lords. And he has this special ability where when he dies, he's able to regenerate and become a new personality, which is why the show has been able to last over, I think, 50 years or so. On Netflix, there are 10 seasons. There's so much to watch. You might want to allow the quality for the first couple seasons, because it was produced in 2005, but make no mistake, that does not mean the quality of the storytelling is bad. I might sound like a big Doctor Who fan, but I do love sci-fi. I am a DC fan. I do like the aspect of traveling and space, and I'm a big nerd for that. As the episodes go on, and as the actors change, and as the story builds up, it just becomes a more enticing, enjoyable, and just a joy to watch, and it's really good to watch if you want to watch something with your family. It's a great show. The next binge-worthy series that you should watch is The Last Dance. This documentary describes in 10 episodes the greatest team of all time. It also tells the audience that basketball wasn't just a sport for those who played at the highest level. These principles doesn't just apply to basketball, it applies to everybody in life who is trying to dedicate their lives to a specific career. You need to have that kind of passion and that interest, that drive for hard work to be successful. This documentary literally allows you to learn from the best, not directly from the best, but since they're telling you their story from how they went from bottom to top, you can see what they've done, which you could do, their change of mindset and all these kind of things. These are all factors that helped them become like really successful people. You'll also see why people call Michael Jordan the GOAT, the greatest of all time. You will have an insight to his mindset, his level of competitiveness is just on another level, and sometimes it's funny and memeable, but like that's what got him to like just be a sick player. It's so educational, inspirational, and entertaining, especially if you're a fan of basketball. The final binge-worthy Netflix series that you should watch is Explained. It goes over the hows and whys of the things that are related to the real world. It's really hard to explain, but it's a non-fiction series which goes over like an array of topics like coding, billionaires, an exclamation mark and how that's impacted the world, extraterrestrial life, astrology. Each episode is only 20 minutes long and it's jam-packed with so much information. So if you want to just learn something or just to expand that general knowledge of yours, this show is a great place to start. Recently, there's also been a series of episodes on the coronavirus. There's currently been 3 episodes, which I highly recommend you actually watch because we are in the middle of a pandemic and it's good to brush over the facts and how people are coping and how a cure could be found. So in summary, the shows that I want you to watch on top of your main hustle and your side hustles are Attack on Titan, Death Note, One Punch Man, Gotham, Money Heist, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Friends, Doctor Who, The Last Dance, and Explained. Obviously you don't need to watch all of them, right? But those are the suggestions that if you were to come up to me in real life, I would give you those 10 things. And yeah, that's all I've got to say, and I'm gonna end the video there. Safe.